Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Dr. Holdren, for being here. Obviously, we're in a very competitive global environment. We're in a very competitive global economy, and that's not going to change in the near future. The one area that we do have a very competitive advantage over the rest of the world is in innovation. And clearly, we're still the most innovative country in the world. We're still the most innovative economy in the world. But we also recognize that we're starting to lose that advantage by not making the necessary investments to continue to move things forward. We also recognize that many of my colleagues have touched on the importance of training scientists and engineers to continue that economic advantage. Recently I had a town hall at Intel with Intel has a major presence in my district, and had the chance to meet with their leadership to talk about their future investments, but also talk about their challenges. And clearly, one of the challenges that their leadership brought up was the lack of availability of engineers, and also the lack of availability of folks that know how to write code. We've also, in this committee, have had a hearing on that as well, and as we had the folks from Code.org testify. There's two things that really jump out at my mind. One, they said, it can't happen at the college level. If we actually want to start our kids on coding and teach them those skills, it has to happen at the elementary school level. And Dr. Holdren, I'd be curious about your comments. Within the President's budget and within the STEM budget, if we truly want to have our kids not just learn reading, writing, and arithmetic, but also have them learn the language of the future, which increasingly appears to be coding, are there initiatives both to put that into part of the Common Core, as well as one of the challenges that repeatedly comes up is the lack of educators who actually know how to teach that coding as well, and if there's funding to train the trainers or train the teachers?
I would make a couple of comments on that. One, there is certainly funding in the President's budget for recruiting, preparing, and supporting more outstanding teachers in STEM fields, which would include teachers who know how to code and who know how to teach coding. There's $40 million in the budget to support the goal of preparing 100,000 excellent STEM teachers over the next decade. There's $20 million to launch a pilot STEM Master Teacher Corps. In addition, I would note that we have a problem with inadequate exploitation of the talent pool. Women are drastically underrepresented in engineering and in computer science. African Americans and Hispanics are drastically underrepresented in these fields, and we have a series of programs aimed at improving inclusion, opportunities for girls and women in STEM fields, opportunities for other underrepresented groups, including minorities. We've had a lot of effort on that front just in the last couple months in connection with Black History Month and then Women's History Month, and tapping a larger fraction of the nation's talent pool for these purposes is going to be a very important part of the solution.
Dr. Holdren, I'm glad that you brought that up. I think the statistic that was quoted to me last week was it's less than 20% of all our engineers are women at this juncture, the ones that are graduating. If you were to recommend, again, I think this committee has a desire to train those folks to fill those future jobs. What recommendations would you have for us as a body in getting more girls to think about engineering futures and careers, as well as some of the minority groups that are certainly underrepresented?
Well, this will seem very self-serving, but I would hope that the committee will support the President's budget in this domain, because it has a lot of focus on those issues.
Great. Last question in my remaining time. The other area that I've focused on certainly is as research budgets get tighter and so forth. One area that, coming out of a background in higher education as an associate dean in a public university, research funding is becoming increasingly tight, and we've talked a little bit about what we can do to enhance technology transfer and so forth. Do you have any recommendations that are both within the President's budget to allow the private sector to come in at an earlier phase?
Well, the President has been a strong advocate from the outset of his administration of strengthening partnerships between the private sector, the academic sector, and including the national laboratories in that. The National Network for Manufacturing Innovation is a good example of that. The energy hubs that the DOE has set up are great examples of that. They're bringing private sector enterprises together with folks from research universities and national labs to build partnerships to grease the tracks, if you will, between discovery in the laboratory and a productive application in society. And we want to continue to do that, and there's substantial support for that in the President's FY15 budget.
Well, fabulous. We look forward to supporting those investments.
Okay. Thank you.